everybody? It's David from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop. So park your ass right there. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button. Also, if you check the link below, you'll see a Patreon link. If you click it, you can become a member. All you got to do is try. You can recommend movies, music, and trailers for me to react to. Now, with that being said, we are here today with the Snyder cut of Justice League. Now, I was very, when I say very, I mean very, skeptical about this movie. Especially with the runtime being 4 hours long. I didn't know how I was going to survive. And I read that a lot of people say that it's easy, like it doesn't feel like it, and it feels like a breeze. But I can tell you that it does feel like a long movie. It's not, it doesn't feel like it's 4 hours, but it does feel like a very long movie. There are parts of the movie where it drags, more specifically towards the beginning. There's a lot of world building, so it kind of drags a little bit. But then once it gets into like the individual character development, that's when everything picks up. And then you kind of forget about the runtime. But all in all, I'm got to be honest. I got to keep it a Milwaukee Buck in here that, yeah, this movie was not as bad as I thought it would be. It is a step up from the original. It is, I don't want to say leagues better, but it's significantly better than the original cut. The biggest points that I saw was that there was way more character development. Each person had their own little character arc, and they were built, and it built on it, and each character was developed immensely. Freaking Aquaman didn't feel like the Big Lebowski. Even though I'm not a fan of this incarnation of the Flash, he was less annoying. He was still a weenie in my eyes, and he didn't really suit the Flash character. My man's over here running and tripping over hot dog weenies, but, that's neither here nor there. To me, he's still not what I expect the Flash to be, but, as I had a discussion with a friend was just like, yo, he's still young. I don't care. I don't want to hear that nonsense. People use that same excuse for Peter Parker in the brand new Spider-Man movies. Like, it's you gotta say that this incarnation of the Flash has been doing it for some time, and it's not like he's just completely wet behind the ears. Now, has he been doing superhero shit? I don't know, but I know for a fact that he's had time to kind of hone his skills and get them under wraps, right? He shouldn't be like, being stopped by average Joes, which happens in this movie. Like, something happens where a normal alien finds a way to stop him, and me personally, I feel like that's not believable. So I feel like his character was kind of downgraded, which I wasn't really a fan of. But like I said, for the most part, the movie was pretty solid. It did a really good job at fleshing out the characters. We had a little bit more about Aquaman. We had a little bit more about Wonder Woman. We had a little bit more about Cyborg, which was a character that really, to me, didn't get a lot of shine in the first movie. We had even a little bit more about Flash, who also was another character that didn't get a lot of shine in the movie. So we had a lot of character building, and I was actually surprised to see that, because when I came into this movie, I was just expecting a lot of epic battles, which there are. And I know that I was a really big critic of the CGI, but I have to say, like, I'm not a fan of CGI movies, like, at all. I'm saying that off top. CGI movies, to me, like, they just, like, I don't know, like, they always leave a bad taste in my mouth, because CG to me is just like, I don't know, it's just like, it seems like the cheap way out. But this movie honestly had really good CGI. I like the redesign of Steppenwolf. The redesign of Steppenwolf, like, on screen, looked immensely better than the original version. Also, this movie was a lot more darker. There was a little bit of gore. There is a fatality in this mug, which would surprise the hell out of me. But I gotta admit, it was pretty dope. So yeah, a critique I have of this movie. I did not like the score. And I know that they gave that one guy control over the music. I forgot his name. Is it something XL? Junkie XL? Anyway, that guy, terrible, bro. Like, I did not like the score in this film at all. The little hums and hymns and vocal shits, like, throughout the movie, like, oh, it destroyed me, bro. Like, I was not a fan of the score of this film, like, at all. And then the kind of like rock elements of the score towards the end, I didn't like that either. This feels like it should be kind of like one of those grand kind of films, and those types of score, like at points it felt like I was watching like 300 or something, and I wasn't a fan of. I just wasn't a fan of the score choices for this movie. Now, stop me if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. I know there's some people in there that's probably watched the original Justice League like a billion times. I don't remember them being that many slow motion scenes. I know that Zack Snyder is a huge fan of the slow mo aspect in the films, especially in battle scenes, but I don't remember that many slow mo scenes in the first film. If there was a lot of slow mo films and scenes in the first movie, please let me know. But I don't remember that many being in there. Maybe these slow motion scenes were the reason why this movie ended up being 4 hours. That's just my opinion up in this thing. So the slow mo scenes, it became a little repetitive after a while, and it became overused. And I feel like those things should only be held out and used for like epic scenes, and not just any old scene. That's just my opinion, right? But all in all, like I said, it was a pretty interesting movie. The CGI was great, but like I said, that score was whack. Now, also, the epilogue scene where the Joker comes out. Me personally, I didn't like it. It really felt a little forced, and the dialogue the banter between them two, it felt so stupid and out of place. Like, I wasn't a fan of it at all. Like, none whatsoever, right? I was just like, what is going? Like, Jared Leto was over here talking about giving a reach around or some bullshit, and I'm just like, dude, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, sometimes I sit back and I'm like, this guy is trying way too hard to be his own Joker, and it looks, hi Cleo, and it looks a lot worse than what you expect. Like, that dialogue between those two was just freaking terrible, and I honestly was like, why was this even put in here? We also, it's not a spoiler. It's been talked about immensely. Martian Manhunter's in this film. He has like a very, very minor role, and then at the end, which makes you feel like it's setting up for a part 2, which I feel like that's the route that they're going. If they go a part 2 route, I'm not really excited about it. But like I said, this movie to me is better than the original. The original is like a C-. I give this like a B or B plus in my eyes. It was a whole grade level above. So kudos to them for doing that. The fight scenes in the movie were pretty dope. And even Superman's return, like Superman came back, he was a freaking savage, but you know, it's neither here nor there. We already know that Superman's going to come back and do some epic Superman shit. Me personally, I'm not a fan of Superman, but yeah, I know that he's going to come back and do some Superman-esque shit. So it is what it is. But overall, like I said, this movie was pretty enjoyable. It's not something that I would probably watch again anytime soon, but I will admit that it's a lot better than the Whedon cut. That's for a fact. It's easily, because when you watch this movie, you see when you watch the original. Like, I remember watching it for the first time like not too long ago, like a few weeks ago actually, and you're watching it and you see things cut, and you feel like the story is being rushed, and it is, like, without a fact, it's being rushed, like easily being rushed. So it's strange when you're watching it, and then when you watch this cut, you're like, oh, okay, so this is where this was possibly going in the original version. Okay, that's where you were going with this. Okay, now I see where you're going with this. It does a better job at fleshing out the story, and it does, honestly, man, I am so surprised that Zach was able to actually put a cohesive story together, because he's not the greatest storyteller, like, at all. He's not very, very good at storytelling. He's a very good, like, visual fight scenes and things like that. He's very creative when it comes to those things, but, like, as far as storytelling and character building and things like that, he's not really, like, you know, my first pick for something along the lines of that. But overall, like I said, man, this movie was very enjoyable. Of course, it had things that I wasn't really a fan of. Score, Joker scene was stupid. He's still by far the worst Joker out there. Did this movie have to be 4 hours? Let me think about that. You know what? Definitely, this movie's runtime justifies what's in it. because there is a lot of world building, and like I said, the routes that they go, in the direction that they go, it makes sense especially when you're comparing it to the original version. I knew that this was going to be better than the Justice League, the Whedon version, but I wasn't sure how much it was going to be better than that version. And honestly, like I said, when I saw it for the first, I've never had an interest in watching the original Justice League, like, at all. Watching those trailers and everything like that, it just never caught my interest. And now, since everything has got hyped up because Snyder finally got his cut, I was like, okay, let me watch the original version. Let me just, bear down and watch it. I watched it. It was whatever. It's like, okay, sure, whatever. But then now I watch this version, and this version was actually pretty enjoyable. So like I said, if I have to give it a grade, I'm giving it at least a B. So in the Cinema Chop Shop, we grade movies in one of two ways. Either it gets spared and I leave it alone, or it gets bodied and sent to the bowels of hell and never heard from again, and get poked with pitchforks and demons and shit. Obviously, this movie is a B+, so it's going to be spared.
He ain't earned the death. He ain't earned the death at my hands. God's only man, spared by the butcher.
Yes, you heard it, folks. I am sparing this movie. I would recommend you to watch it at least once. It's not a bad movie. It does a very good job at shelling out the characters. I really wish they would have kept Danny Elfman and the other, I think a guy that worked on Avengers. I wish they would have kept him on in order to score the movie, but they brought back Junkie XL, I believe that's his name, and he did a pretty shitty job at scoring this movie, in my opinion. Also, that Joker scene, I get it. You wanted to give Leto another shot at trying to be a dope-ass Joker, but it just ain't working, player. Leto, you suck as a Joker. Live with it. Just go on and work on trying to be a dope-ass Morbius. Work on that. It's funny because I remember having a conversation with somebody and they said Leto could be a dope-ass Crow. And I honestly agree. He can probably be a dope-ass Crow, but then he will be Joker, he will be Morbius, and then the Crow. I don't know if he's going to want to do that because then he'll be starting to get typecasted as dark anti-heroes and shit. And I don't know if he's going to want to do that. But like I said, Zack Snyder's Justice League was a pleasant surprise. Let's see if they attempt to do a number 2. But, the way that it's going and the route that they're going, they seem like they're just going to one and done this. This is just a movie so that Zack can have his vision out there, and they're just going to erase it when it's done and move on with their lives. So that's my review. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Whatever the case may be, drop it in the comments section down below. And you are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Adios. I'm about to go to sleep.